Building a $25,000 a month Amazon business today is not incredibly hard, but it becomes very hard when you just don't know what you're doing. I've been through every high, low, and everything in between over these past few years while building this business. So I put together 10 lessons to live by so that you can skip the hard part. And this won't be a video of some generic tips to help you start selling on Amazon, like find the best products or use these tools, because that's just nonsense. Here's the thing, while I built this business to 7 figures in revenue, I started it from ground zero, without much money to my name and without an ounce of knowledge of what I was doing. So this will be from a true beginner perspective. Every lesson will be laid out in order so that you don't feel scattered when you're starting or growing your Amazon business. Now, before we get started, my first lesson to kick things off, watch the entirety of this video, because that's the only thing that guarantees you that you won't go through the same beginner mistakes that I did. So let's get into it. Now, let's dive into these lessons step by step so you can get started with Amazon and you don't have to make the beginner mistakes that I did, because you're watching this video and you're gonna follow these to a T, all right? So the first one, erase every doubt that you have. And I know, don't shrug your shoulders on this one, because this is very, very important. Many people who start Amazon, just like myself a few years ago, were very skeptical and are very skeptical on how the business works. Does it actually work? Are people making money? How does the process work of shipping to customers? There's so many different moving parts of the business that you're going to confuse yourself with and make yourself feel very anxious and nervous in the early days. And believe me, I know I did it. I did it to a T. I listened to outsider noise. And for you, the best lesson that I've ever come into, the first very one, is erasing every doubt that you have. Just getting started, learning day by day, watching product sourcing video, opening up your seller account, getting started and just learning the business. It's so critical to do that before getting even going, all right? Now, number 2, big fish, small pond. What do I mean by this? If you go to search up Amazon FBA on YouTube right now, or on Twitter, on Instagram, on any of the social media platforms, and you listen to videos of people talking about Amazon FBA, what are they gonna say? Buy Nike, buy the big brands. There's a lot of deals going on at all these sporting outlets or all these Marshalls or Kohl's for all these big name brand, products, right? That everybody says, just resell these big name branded products like Adidas, like Nike, because everybody's doing it. And that is wrong. That is the wrong way to do it on Amazon. In that case, you're just a reseller. The way you want to do Amazon, that I've been doing since I started from day one, and I never listened to any of those outside noises or recommendations, is looking for the big fish in a small pond, which means looking for the smaller brands, right? The brands that not a lot of people are focusing on, and finding the big winners within those. Whether that means looking for smaller suppliers and then looking for smaller brands, but focusing on where less competition is. Like I said, if you look up anywhere on social media, everybody talks about the big brands, the big products that you can make tons of money on because there's all these deals and discounts going on during, the holiday season, during Christmas and so on. While maybe that's great for short term to build a real sustainable large Amazon business, it's fishing in a small pond but getting the big fish, all right? Now, here's the next one. Test small and buy wide. All right, now this is critical, okay? Because when you're just getting into Amazon, you just get your seller account open, you just started learning how to source products and so on, you're not gonna become a professional within 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, right? It's just not how it works. Now, there's a big payoff at the end, but in the early days, you're not gonna know every single thing about the business, and that's totally okay. But that's why I always recommend, because this is what I did, is testing small and buying wide, right? You're putting money or capital or inventory into multiple different products. Instead of investing all of your life savings or all of your belief into one product, you have to split it across a few different products. See what works, right? Test all of those products, whether it's 3 to 4 to 5 products, and then cut out the bad ones, continue to source new products and add them to your catalog, because your goal is to have a very, very strong catalog of really good products, right? So by testing, seeing what's working and investing a little bit of money in each of them, and then cutting out the bottom, you're able to win and learn, right? Win and learn very, very quickly, because I see beginners who invest all of their money into one product because they believe in it so much, and it takes a long time to sell through their inventory, or it didn't work out as expected, and then they think Amazon FBA doesn't work and all this nonsense, right? But it does. Just test small and buy wide, right? On to the next one. Now, treat this like a business, get organized, okay? From day one, I'm gonna include that in there, okay? So selling on Amazon, I know it could be a side hustle. I know it can be an extra $1,000 a month, an extra $2,000 a month, whatever it may be. And of course you can build a 7 or 8-figure business out of it, but you have to treat it like a business from day one. Be serious about it and get organized. Get all of your sourcing products organized, get all of your financials organized. Because when I first started this business and I was just really eager, really excited to get going, I didn't know how it worked or what was gonna happen. I wasn't organized at all. I wasn't even tracking the products that I was buying from the supplier. So if it never arrived, sometimes I wouldn't even realize I was losing money by not getting my inventory. So by being organized day one, it almost guarantees you a continuum of success over time, okay? So this is a huge one in taking professional from day one, all right? Now, spend 80% of your time sourcing. This is the most important part about the Amazon business, sourcing. If you know how to product source, you're gonna be selling for the rest of your life on Amazon. Because by finding good products and spotting good products, which I have tons of video on that I recommend you go and watch, and I'm dropping a new one every single week so that you know how to master sourcing. But by spending all of your time sourcing, learning how sourcing works, what doesn't work for you, what works for you, what categories you like, which suppliers you like, this is everything, okay? Because then you can train a team member in the future, and you're always gonna have products at your table and at your desk to sell for the future. You don't have to worry about what am I gonna sell next? Where's my next dollar coming from? No, you always have a constant flow of products because you can, lay down in your bed at night or pop open a laptop at a desk or a cafe and just source for an hour or 2 hours and find products. It's one of the main tactic and skills somebody can learn with Amazon, but it's the most important thing with Amazon with product sourcing, okay? On to the next one. Let's keep it rolling. Now, hire VAs at the right time. Now, a VA is essentially a virtual assistant, a team member or an employee that you hire typically overseas because it's all virtual work with Amazon and selling online. So by hiring a VA, you're basically growing the business, okay? Maybe you can hire the VA to product source, to do account management stuff, to do organization stuff within your business, whatever it may be, right? It typically starts with product sourcing, and then you move into different roles of the business by hiring more team members or giving them more roles and so on. But I see so many people hire VAs almost instantly when starting their Amazon business because either they see other people doing it or they just don't want to put the work in, all right? And if I hired a VA day one when I started, when I had no knowledge of the business, and let's say if the VA wasn't performing, I would be blaming them. Why aren't you finding products? Why aren't you keeping the account in good standing when I don't even know how the business works? And that's what most of the people out there who quit early because they did this, that's what they run into, right? They're blaming their VA, they're blaming everybody else for their problems when they don't understand how to do the business. They don't understand how to product source. I know every single thing about Seller Central and the account platform, and you should too. And don't just rush into hiring because you don't want to do work. If you spent 3 to 6 months really with your head down, learning the business, learning product sourcing, everything about Amazon, and then you spent the next 2.5 years just kind of kicking your feet back and reviewing products, buying leads, but doing the same process and working, 10 to 20 hours a week, would you be happy? I'm sure you would. And that's what I've been doing for the past 2.5 to 3 years now since I've hired VAs. I put my head down, I learned the business, I hired, I delegated, I gave the role to other people to do the repetitive task, and now I can kind of just manage. But I know what they're facing every single day because I've been through it, right? So this is critical, right? Now, number 7, prioritize fast-moving inventory. This is one of the biggest. I know product sourcing was the biggest, but this is one of the biggest reasons why people fail or just don't think Amazon FBA works in general, right? By selling through your inventory, right? By buying your inventory from the supplier, sending it to Amazon and selling it through and then bringing that money back into the business, paying yourself and so on. That is the greatest learning resource that you could ever have with Amazon FBA. The worst learning resource is by buying inventory, having it sit at Amazon and never getting any sales. Because yeah, you're losing money by just having your inventory not make you money, but also you're not learning, right? By selling through your inventory, you're learning how the business works faster, how quickly you should replenish your products, how quickly you should buy more products, or how quickly you should, if you should have bought more or should have bought less of that product. It allows you to learn so much faster. And people who buy, products that sell 10 times a month at 100% ROI, they think they're doing great. But I'd rather find a product that sells 10,000 times a month at 20% ROI, because I'm going to sell 10,000 times the amount of products that you will. And it allows me to learn much, much quicker in this business and make a lot more money faster. So always prioritize fast moving inventory. I did this from day one, luckily, just because that was how I was in my sourcing tactics and techniques and so on. But people who quit, they buy inventory, they put it to Amazon and it doesn't sell, and they think that the business doesn't work. But believe that, seriously, it happens every single day. And that's just an excuse of how they just didn't know how to product source, okay? Now, number 8, ignore shiny object syndrome, okay? So with Amazon, there's a natural process of two things, right? A lot of people like to work in certain categories and so on and have a lot of success in those categories. Now, I'm not just saying just stick with those only categories, right? But sometimes people see other categories that are performing well, and instead of investing more money in their catalog or their products, they go to buy other random products. And they're like, oh, I've never bought this before, but I'm going to buy Nike socks now or Nike shoes because people online are telling me that it's doing well. That is how you fail. And number 2 is there's a natural process with Amazon with starting the business with online arbitrage. And that's basically just any random person, me or you, opening up a laptop, starting a selling account, and going on bigger retailer websites and buying for 20 and selling for 40. That's how it works with Amazon, right? Just buying for 20, selling for 40. Something like that with that pricing difference where you and I can make profit and so on, right? But as you grow in Amazon, you then get into Amazon wholesale, where you're buying products in bulk from a supplier, and then you're selling it on Amazon, a regular process, but you're investing more money in the product. Then you get to the point of private label, where you're building your own brand, running advertising, marketing. It gets very, very chaotic. And most sellers think, oh, that's the big money. That's the big ticket. Let me move on to the next business model. Let me move on to the next thing. And that's how you fail, right? By just having this shiny object syndrome to think like, oh, there's more money in doing that. No, there's more money in doing what you're doing right now, but doing more of it. All right. So give it time, invest more money in it, and just stick with what you're doing. Ignore shiny object syndrome. And that's just an advice or tip in business alone, by just staying focused and not distracted. Okay. Now, number 9, gather as much info as possible. All right. This is also key, and don't shrug your shoulders to this one as well, because when I started Amazon, all I did was watch YouTube videos and articles and everything I can consume about Amazon FBA. Because after I did that for the first few months, I thought I was a pro. After I did it for a month or two, I thought, oh, I'm a pro. I know how this works. I know how the process works, shipping it, in this and so on, and using Amazon and PrepSetter or whatever it may be. But I was so novice because I didn't network with anybody. I didn't learn from anybody, which I really, really regret. I didn't go on Twitter or Discord or Instagram or YouTube or TikTok, and actually, connected with people to learn, what challenges are you facing? How does this work in the business? Am I allowed to do this? Am I not allowed to do this? I didn't use my resources in that way. And gathering that information, videos like this video right here, just like my channel that I made for this specific reason, helps so much in you avoiding those mistakes that you're eventually going to walk into. So by gathering this information and understanding exactly how the business works, what you can do, what you can't do, even investing in mentorship or a coach or some type of learning program to understand how Amazon FBA works, because it just speeds up the process so much faster. If I didn't waste time, a lot of time and months and money and just failing on my own, I could have just asked these questions to other people and learned it the right way and the easy way, and I would have grown much faster than I did. Although I'm very, very happy in how fast I grew and how big the business has grown, but I could have learned even faster. So gathering that information is key. Don't just go into it yourself and fail and think it doesn't work. It works. Trust me. I promise you it works. I've been doing it for years and years, and there's millions of other people out there who are doing it. You just have to have the right information, okay? And last but not least, this one's an obvious one, but the best one, stick with it. I haven't met anybody who started Amazon FBA and has continued and has quit because they say, oh yeah, I quit because I gave it all I had and I put 2 to 3 years in it and it never worked. Everybody that I met that's still in the business, that I've met in the past in the business, who continue to stick with it, find success. And it's true. And you find more and more success over time. In the early days, it might be a little win, right? You get a nice little $100 a day sales or $200 a day in sales, and you feel really, really good, and you want to double down onto the business. Maybe even get $500 or $1,000 a day, which is great in sales for one day. But as you continue to compound that and stick with it, take in more information, have more money in the business, and have more knowledge on how to product source and buying better products, you're gonna find more and more success by sticking with it, I promise. And again, with the shiny object syndrome, there's other businesses out there, there's other business models, there's other ways to make money out there online, but you are going to be making money with Amazon FBA, and just sticking with it and doing more of what's working for you is the ticket out. Not all this other stuff out there that's gonna be confusing you and throwing you this nonsense. That's the ticket out. And trust me, I've been doing it, like I said, I've been traveling the world while doing Amazon FBA for 3.5 years now, and it's completely changed my life from top to bottom. And that's why I talk in these videos with with emotion and inspiring you guys and so on. And that's why I continue to make these videos. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and stick around. I want to continue to make these every other day for the rest of your life, so you have all the information that you could ever need with Amazon FBA. So see you guys for now, and see you soon.